this morning, and so we're going to hit about 3 or 4 different things as we get started this morning. Today, if you remember where you were 19 years ago on this September 11th day, the United States of America was attacked, and nearly 3,000 citizens and first responders lost their lives in one day. It was something that I think that this generation will remember. I think it's appropriate that I say thanks to all of our first responders for the fight that they do every day when they go out there, especially when there are tragic times and emergencies. And I'm thankful for them and what they do for our city and our community as well. I've asked that Pastor Jack Hennon from our First United Methodist Church come forward this morning to start off our press conference with a prayer with those thoughts in mind.
May we take a moment and pause and remember? Let's pray. Lord, may we never forget. May we never forget the selfless actions of men and women who rushed into burning buildings in New York and Virginia. May we never forget determined women and men who brought their own plane down in Pennsylvania to deny their hijackers their target. May we never forget the friends, sons, daughters, fathers, mothers, people whose absence has made these past 19 years infinitely more difficult. Lord, we pray we'll never forget the brave men and women who have made the last 19 years more peaceful and stable, who've put themselves in harm's way to ensure justice and mercy. May we never forget the unity we felt that day in the face of evil and a changed world. Our grief, our anger, our despair. But Lord, on this day, I pray there are things that we will forget. God, I pray that we'll forget our need for vengeance. May we remember your call for justice and mercy brought together in a way that creates a world where people would never think to fly planes into buildings, and that it's somehow God's will. Lord, I pray that we can forget our need to blame. May we instead discover our own part in creating a world that honors those people that were taken from us 19 years ago. Lord, I pray that we will forget our shortcomings. Not that we would turn a blind eye, but Lord, that they can be addressed, dealt with, and redeemed in a way that 19 years from now, we haven't forgotten them and we've passed on better and more wonderful things to our children. In this season of pandemic, Lord, our past calls with lessons that our hearts need to hear. May we never forget. You never forget us, and we pray that we won't forget each other. On this Patriots' Day, may we remember. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor. As we remember those today, as he has indicated, one of the things that came, I think, from the tragedy afterwards, it seemed that our country became a little more unified. And I pray every day that this community, when it faces the challenges that we face, that we'll become more unified and realize that it's only through our together and working together that we are a better people. And so thank you for allowing us to remember those on this particular day. As a typical press conference, we're going to touch on 2 or 3 different topics. Thank you, media, for being here. And if at the end, we'll take questions after everyone has had a chance to come up and speak. So if you'll hold on to your questions at that point, then we'll do that then. Before I yield the mic, I wanted to bring up a couple of things. One, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on COVID-19 this morning. I just want to say that the numbers that I always look for and always look to is our hospitals. How are our 2 hospitals faring and how filled to capacity they are. The inpatient number is the numbers that I look to, because if they get into the 50s and the 60s, then it makes it hard for them to take care of our families and our friends and the people in this community that get sick from other things just besides COVID-19. It affects everything, elective surgeries. It affects their ability to staff properly and take care of us and our health. And that's what I am focused on when I look at the numbers. Right now, our numbers are better, and I want to say thank you to the people of Dothan and the Wiregrass for doing a better job of helping to cut down on the spread of the virus. The only other thing that I want to pull up to you is that flu season is now about to start. There are flu vaccines that are becoming available. If you've not been one to get a flu vaccine in the past, I strongly recommend that you get a flu shot this year. You do not want to get the flu and/or a COVID-19 virus at the same time. But it is extremely important that you get a flu shot. It is not only helpful for you, but it can be helpful for those that you are around, especially, again, like with the virus, those that may suffer from other health issues, chronic health issues as well. So we lose lives sometimes to the flu as well, and so please, I strongly urge you to do that. That's the only thing I'm going to talk about today on the COVID-19 and or the flu. I wanted to mention 2 updates that I think are important. One, you may have already seen a little bit through good regional planning with those that are a part of our community in the Wiregrass area. We have been talking about, continue to talk about how we can respond with better infrastructure and how we can grow our economies, especially in this southeast region of where we are. And so we had regionally worked together and applied for a build grant program that comes from the federal government. Senator Shelby made the announcement the other day that we are going to receive $450,000 in monies that will help us to do a study on about 13 miles of taking 52 west to a 4-lane, finishing it out to 167 where it turns into 167, and then about another 24 miles on 167 as it heads towards the Florida-Alabama line. If any of you that travel into Florida know that 77, 79, and 331 have all been under projects where they're 4-laning all the way to I-10, and we have been talking in the past as a region again about how we could maybe get at least one of those highways extended up into Alabama so that we can open up for economy our southeast region. And so this is a very, very positive step towards that means. So wanted you to make sure that you were aware of that. This is one of those things I can only give you a little bit, so when you get to come ask questions later, I won't have a whole lot besides it, but we do have an upcoming manufacturing announcement that will be revealed over the next probably couple of weeks. I'm extremely excited about it, and anytime I have something very positive to be looking forward to, I'm doing so and holding on to at this point. So I wanted to make sure that you were aware of that. I'm going to call up Lori Wilcoxon. Lori has been our person in the forefront of making sure or trying to make sure that you have filled out your census. If you're thinking that this is not that big of a deal, we have tried to explain just exactly what it means to the state of Alabama. I saw a newspaper report the other day that the state of Alabama is dead last in census reporting. That is not a place that we want to be proud of, especially being a state that is so dependent upon federal funding. And so we have, if we're not even up to the 80% mark, and the rest of the country is more around 88%, we don't have much time left. And it will be money taking out of our programs and out of our city and county if we do not reach a certain percentage. So, Lori, I would call her to be here this morning and ask for an update. I want to thank you for all that you do.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate you inviting me today. One of the things that I think we can all remember, whether it's 9/11 or whether it's COVID, is that first responders and healthcare, police, whatever it was, they're all of high importance to us. And the census is what funds a lot of those programs. That's where we get our money. That's where our federal count comes from. And so today, above all other days, you can go online and take your census and make it count. It's $1,600 per person per year for the next 10 years. And we're going to suffer. It's going to be programs costs. And it's going to be healthy lunches, it's going to be Medicare, it's Medicaid, it's transportation, all the things that we're talking about, all the things that are important to us. It's our children's future. And so you need to go online today and take that. I will tell you that right now, Dothan is at 63.4%, Houston County is at 62.4%, Henry County is at 51.9%, and Geneva is at 58.5%. The Wiregrass is in the critical state of needing everyone to go online and take this. The last day you can take it is September 30th, and that's right around the corner. And so please reach out to any groups, any people that you know, explain to them the importance of this, and assist them in taking it. My number is on all of the things that are posted around. If you need it, I will call and walk them through it. We'll do whatever we need to, talk to a group. Please reach out, though, because it is our future. And so don't waste any longer. My2020census.gov, go online, take it today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lori. The other thing I would remind you as well is there are 7 congressional districts in the state of Alabama. We would probably lose one, and it will probably be our district if it will be that we will probably lose. 88% again is the national average, and you heard where we are today. We will be grouped in with someone else in another district, and I don't know how else to explain how just important it is. It will affect someone that you know. That's how important it is. We're going to next be talking about our circle improvements. Mr. Charles Metzger, who is our department head for our public works. Before I give the mic to him as well, I wanted to say, in the past when we've talked about love your neighborhood and love your neighbor and love Dothan and love your orange barrel, I've tried to give a sentiment of laughter and lightness, because I do realize just how troublesome the orange barrels can be. But I want you to know that in my lightheartedness doesn't mean that I don't take very, very seriously the businesses that are affected by the construction work that goes on the circle. We know it does. We know it's a very difficult time anyway. We are all on edge with the COVID-19. We know that restaurants have been part of the economy that has been hurt to a certain degree, and we understand that. We want to do a better job at communicating with you about where we are with each phase, how much longer with each phase, and what number and who to contact if you have questions. Again, Charles will tell and explain a little bit better about where we are on that in just one moment. This is an ALDOT project. Any project is run by them. We are a part of that in a number of ways. But the thing that we can do, and I think that we will do better and can do better, is communicate with you. Retailers, restaurants are extremely important to our sales tax revenues and to this city. And so I don't take it lightly. I understand where you are. And if I've not done a good enough job, I apologize, and we will do better with that going forward in the future. But Charles wanted to bring you up and let you give up an update.
As the mayor said, I'm Charles Metzger. I'm your beloved Public Works Director here with the City of Dothan. Yeah, we do have a lot of work going on with the city and with state projects. I'm going to try to briefly just try to cover those for you. We all know there's, like say, the west side of the Ross Clark Circle. There's been a lot of disruption over there. The first thing they obviously did was have a lot of utility relocation. That work is complete. That work involved a lot of sewer work, storm drainage, and water that had to be moved along with electrical work. So that work is basically complete other than a punch list and some sod work. Phase 1 of the Ross Clark Circle, which was from Bowman Drive to just south of 84 West, that work is near completion. I think there's a punch list, there's some grassing and cleanup to do, signage removal there. That project gives us basically, or gives the Ross Clark Circle 6 lanes from just south of 84 to Fortner Street, which is a good improvement through that area with access management, which I'll talk about as we go. The Ross Clark Circle Phase 2 is ongoing. That includes work from Inglewood inside the Ross Clark Circle out to about Bel Air outside the Ross Clark Circle on 84. We call it the Ross Clark Circle phase, but it includes that major intersection at 84. And it also takes the work that's just south of 84 on the circle to Choctaw. That's Phase 2. That is ahead of schedule. That's good news. They've had some good weather. They actually had reduction in traffic with the COVID, which is, not good from the COVID standpoint, but good for their able to work. They've done a lot of work at night. That is in the neighborhood of 50% complete. That work could go all the way into spring of 22, but they're hoping, if they stay on schedule, that they could be finished late in 21. That includes 6 lanes on 84, which will help that traffic, east-west traffic through that major corridor. It also includes 6 lanes on the circle to tie into the other work, and actually, like I say, will provide much more capacity on the roadway there. Phase 3, which is yet to start, and they hope that they can let that at the end of 21. That work goes from Choctaw all the way through 231 North and up to Cherokee. That's going to be 6 lanes, again, with access management, and will tie into the work that was done on 231 North. And why I keep talking about access management, it's basically everybody's aware of what we did or what ALDOT did on 231 North from inside the Ross Clark Circle up through to John D. Odom. That changed that landscape in there, went 6 lanes, but a lot of median crossings were closed and limited in how they're used, so to help better move traffic. So that will be all part of this plan. The Phase 3 will include some 2-way service roads. And as I talk about all this, like the mayor said, there's going to be disruptions. There's going to be inconveniences throughout those projects as they continue. We want to continue to give information. We're going to be working with Vincent to provide better updates and things, and working through the contract and working with ALDOT's public information officer, just so we keep the businesses and people updated on the projects. I'm going to go very quickly into our A-Trip project that we have on 84 West that the city applied for and received $2 million from A-Trip funds. The city committed $2.5 million to that project as well. It will be adding, going from 2 lanes westbound to 3 lanes westbound, from tying in at Bel Air near Flowers Chapel Road out to John D. Odom. Those improvements, we all know the growth that's happening in that corridor out there and continues to happen. Eventually, what we'd hope is long-term that we'd see 6 lanes from Brandon Stand in to the Ross Clark Circle. But this is a project that, like I say, goes from around Flowers Chapel Road to John D. Odom Road westbound. It'll give us 3 lanes. It'll tie into the ALDOT project. It will also have access management, and it will rework the intersection there at Woodburn and 84 West there at Flowers Hospital. Everybody knows how tough that intersection is. I'll use that word tough, I guess. But that was a rural highway out there, so design changes. And we're blessed that we have a large median, wide median that we can make changes through. That project, like I said, we do have a public meeting on that. It's very important. This coming Tuesday from 4:30 to 6:30 p.m. at Westgate Recreation Center. We'll have city staff there. We'll have the consultant there so that they can, people can review and look at what's going to happen. Like I said, there's going to be access management in this. There'll be some closures to some median crossings. There'll be some changes to other median crossings. But that's very important. If they can't be there, it's on the city website that they can look and review the plans. We'll be there to answer questions. Our consultants will be there as well. We hope that project can be let to contract either late this year or early next year, and we'd hope to see completion of that summer of '22. So the 84 West corridor, the good news we hope would be that corridor could be completed 6-lane in those areas by the summer of 2022. The Ross Clark Circle work with Phase 3 going will still probably go on till probably 2024. So there's still a lot of work there to be done. All these improvements are necessary. You know, if we didn't have the funding, that's one thing. That's the other side of the coin. If you sit there and you say, well, we don't have the funding, or we're not committing funding, or we don't have ALDOT or federal funds, then we're going to be stagnant as far as the traffic growth and the growth for the area to handle the traffic growth. Very quickly, city projects. We have the roundabout down at Taylor and Park. That's a joint project that's been going on between the city and county. We've had great cooperation, coordination with that. A lot of good compliments on that project, moving traffic with the growth that's happening in that area. We're pouring the last concrete island this morning. I think that's been completed. The county will be coming in, resurfacing, putting the final surface on that project, and then that project, there'll just be some landscaping for that project. Let's see what else I got here. Denton Road widening project is ongoing right now. That project is expected to go through the fall of 2021. That's 5-lane roadway from tying in at Westgate down to the Ross Clark Circle. That'll provide better access for people coming in, commuting in from Dale County, obviously our regional airport, and local commuters through that area. That's a federal, state, and local funds on that project. The Honeysuckle Road project, I will mention that. That project there's 2 phases. One is from 84 down to Fortner Street, widening from 3 lanes to 5 lanes to handle the growth that's happening in that area. That will actually have sidewalks on the west side of the roadway, additional lighting. We're excited about that's a capacity improvement project through there. Then we've got an additional Phase 2 of Honeysuckle project, which will be from 52 down to tie into Taylor Road at the roundabout that the county has planned at Taylor and Campbellton. That's a big project. That's a safety project, get rid of some of the jogging and back and forth through the roadways for people that use that in that area. And it'll tie in, improve traffic flow down to Jim Oates Park. So that's a lot of projects. That project, we're about 90% complete on Phase 1, and Phase 2 is probably in the neighborhood of 50% complete. So we're excited about those projects. Those are very necessary projects as well to improve traffic flow and safety. And I will say that when we start totaling up all of this work, we're talking about over $100 million of road work over the next several years here in Dothan. And like you say, it's headaches, you know, and and delays for people, but overall, the commitment of the state and the federal and the city to do what they're doing to make these improvements will take us well in the future as far as traffic projections and things like that, so that we can have better access to businesses, we can have better traffic flow in the area. That's what we're trying to make these improvements for. And we're blessed, honestly, to have that kind of funding available to do that. So I think that covers everything for me, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Charles. We are blessed to be able to have the funding to do what we're doing at this particular time, and I am thankful that we have the orange barrels out there. But we are going to strive to do better about keeping you informed. If there are problems with signage and knowing where to turn, you need to let us know that as well. Those are things that we can do to make sure that you, as our business owners, know that when we say we want to be business-friendly government, we want to be, that we truly, truly mean that and stand behind it. Our last topic we're going to touch on this morning is some of the recent gun violence that we have been seeing and talking about. I travel down Main Street to get to the downtown area every day and back and forth, and if you're like me and travel that road, then you will be passing the Wiregrass Angel House and the corner there where they have placed a cross for all of those that have been murdered, killed in the county over the last many years. It is a very stark image of sadness and the things that should touch your heart when it comes to this particular topic. When we lose a son or a daughter in this city to gun violence, it's the city's son and daughter, not any one particular community, not any one particular family, but it's our family. And that is what's important. Chief Parrish is going to come and give us some updates and some statistics to help us better understand with where we are today. And I want to say, as he's coming forward, that I think that our department, police department under Chief Parrish and all those that serve with him are doing an excellent job. It is a tremendously difficult job to do, and I, on behalf of the City Commission, thank you for that.
Thank you, Mayor, for those remarks, especially on a day like today where we recognize the public safety officers who lost their lives so many years ago. Before I begin, I want to say this graphic will be available. Vincent can send it to the members of the media who wish to have a copy of it, the electronic version, and feel free to use it. You know, 2020 has been an unprecedented year, not only for our nation, but for law enforcement as well. I think that we've seen nationwide trends and attitudes toward law enforcement that have been negative. A lot of that is brought about, of course, by the actions of some law enforcement officers, but our community embraces what we do and the professionalism that we try to exhibit. And unfortunately, social media is a thing that we all have to deal with as time goes on, and it's part of our life now. So although it has a big influence on our country, we do appreciate our community embracing our police department. It means a lot. And one of the things that we do is we really pride ourselves on some of the things that we do oftentimes that are not visible. One of those things that we routinely do is crime analysis. That comes through our requirements through being an accredited organization. And when we've all heard of recent events about the uptick in crime, and I will say, echo what the mayor said, we do have a good department, you know, but I look at it as my personal responsibility for the safety and security of the citizens of Dothan. And if we have crime issues, then it's up to me to do everything I can to lower those crime statistics. As the mayor's talked about, he and I attended a meeting yesterday, Mothers Against Gun Violence. It starts in the community. The police department can do a lot, and we're going to do a lot, but at the end of the day, it's up to the community to help keep gun violence and other violent crimes down. With that said, crime analysis is one of the things we looked at. Last week, after the horrific murder on Lena Street, I contacted our crime analyst, and I told him to put me together some data of the recent significant violent events. Now, you know, crime, of course, can be categorized many ways through the UCR, but we were focused primarily on what seems to be the uptick in our community today, and that would be, of course, firearms assault, assaults in general, gunshots, and things like that. And the chart at the top is, and if you'll take just a moment to look at it, the chart at the top are the current statistics as we tracked for 2017, 2018, 2019, and you see the asterisk by 2020. That is as of September the 8th. So you can see, while it looks like the numbers are obviously lower in some categories up to this point, if you refer to the lower chart, you will see extrapolated data, which are the projections if it continues to be like it is by the end of the year. And if you look at it in that light, let's just keep it to firearms assault and shot fired calls. If you look at the data from 2017, 2018, 2019, and as you see 2020, you'll see an uptick in firearms assaults. Okay, that would be everything from someone getting shot, nicked, to shooting into an occupied vehicle and missing the defendant. The other would be the shot fired calls. Now, there's a slight margin for error for fireworks complaints and things like that, but because the data is consistently taken over a period of years, it stands to reason that there's certainly been a serious increase in shots fired calls. So with that said, you know, what we want to do, what our goal is to do, is to that end of the year number in 2020, which projects 592 firearms assaults. If it continues to be trending as it is, we want to lower that number. We want to lower that number, but we need help to do it. I will say what we are doing is I have Captain Glover and Lieutenant Owens here with me. They are the captain of investigative services who's been placed in charge of this operation that we're putting together, and Lieutenant Owens, who handles basically all the plainclothes officers in criminal investigations. So they are working arduously to arrest offenders, and that's what we want to do. But we have to have, you know, as I mentioned yesterday, we have to have cooperation. What we're seeing nationwide, and I'm not passing the buck, but it is a nationwide trend that we are seeing, is an increase in gun violence. A lot of that, I personally believe, is because of I think a lack of respect for law enforcement, a culture that seems to be, you know, doesn't really care whether they go to jail or not, live or die, whatever. But it's incumbent upon the families, the citizens, when you get shot at, when you get nicked in the leg, we're hearing more and more, you know, they'll show up at the medical center. Where did this happen? Well, I don't know. What was the description of the person who shot? I don't know. But if somebody has a serious chest wound, you know, then they tell us who did it. So we've had people that tell us who did it, and then when they recovered, no, that wasn't right. I don't remember. So a lot of our investigators don't have crystal balls. We can operate on the evidence, but if we don't even know where the crime scene is, we don't even know where to start. So With that said, we need to have people come forward when they're a victim of crime and tell us what happened. There are programs available such as Crime Stoppers and TipSoft that anonymous tips can be given to law enforcement without you having to identify yourself. So all those are programs that are located on our websites, they're available to give us information. And unfortunately, like I tell people, sometimes you hear, well, I don't want to get involved. Well, if you're shot at or you're shot or you're a witness to somebody who's involved in a crime, it's unfortunate, but you are involved. So you need to do your civic duty to help us out so we can make the community safer. Captain Glover is putting together an operation now in conjunction with ATF and FBI, Safe Streets Task Force, as well as ATF, and we are not going to reveal all the details of what we're doing, but we are going to take a proactive approach. There's a thing in law enforcement that we refer to as sectored patrolling. That is where we identify the locations and the times where particular crimes are being occurring, and then we saturate those areas with proactive law enforcement. Those are some of the things we're going to do. As to when we're going to do them, we're not revealing that. We've done them in the past. We've had people call in. Y'all sure had an active weekend, according to the arrest records. Well, we do, but we don't advertise it. We don't advertise what we're doing and when we're doing it. But I can assure you that we are going to do everything within our power to make these numbers at the end of 2020 significantly lower. Our goal is to shut it down completely, and that's the position I have, and that's my expectations of my command staff. So with that said, I'll leave that graphic up, Mayor, and if anybody has any questions, I'll answer what I can. Thank you.
As Chief mentioned, I was able to attend yesterday's Dothan Moms Against Gun Violence, and the clear message from everyone there was, as Chief said, is that this takes a community. It takes a community that cares about one another. Our theme of Love Dothan is not just a clever marketing theme. It's supposed to be something that tells you about us as a people. And we have to care for our youth. And it's not only about just getting guns out of people's hands. It's about dealing with why there is so much anger, why there are some things that are being troublesome at this time, and what are the things that we can do that provides for them activities as well as things like mentorships, and how can we do better about engaging them, our youth, in education as well as in other places. It is an extremely important topic that we are talking about today, and we wanted everyone to know that is important to us, and there will be a response on the city's part as well. If there are any questions from the media to Lori or Charles or Chief Parrish on those particular topics, we can either get the questions now, or y'all can get them after we do the press conference. If there's any questions for me on any topic, I'll open myself up to that as well and can do that now. Any questions?
Chief, without pointing fingers at anybody, because we all know what the situation is, we have AOC telling prosecutors, don't send, and judges, don't send people to jail if there's any way around it. The reality is, with your crime, the people you're charging, the people committing this crime, you're just regurgitating the same people over and over because they don't stay in jail. From a law enforcement officer, a very better law enforcement officer's view, how disturbing is that?
Well, I've never seen it as bad as it is right now with what some are terming catch and release. We, under federal judge orders, we have to be very careful and tread lightly, or we will be, sued. But with that said, I really don't care what the court does with them. Our job is to arrest offenders, and we will arrest them and we will put them in jail, and if they get out, we will arrest them again if they violate the law. So our position is one that's very, very firm. I take it very seriously that there is an uptick in gun violence, and as I said before, even though it's happening in other places, I'm not in charge in other places. My job is to keep the city of Dothan and the citizens of Dothan safe, and my senior staff and the officers that work with me, they know that, and we will settle for nothing less.
Chief, there's a lot of the gun violence, there's a lot of that teenagers, both the victims and the shooters. It just seems to me like it seems to be a lot of teenagers involved. Is that accurate, that it's a lot of teenagers, and why do you think that is?
It is a lot of teenagers, and a lot of that it goes back to a lot of the social media things. You know, a lot of people put these productions on social media, and they post them, and that solves a lot of the crime based on the video that they post. And while we may go arrest them, it continues on and on. But I think it's just a youth culture in general across the board. All interstitial communities that believe in filming things, a lot of that starts at home. That's a parent responsibility. That's a community responsibility. But at the end of the day, when they start, shooting guns, shooting at people, that's where we step in, and we will seek to prosecute them to the fullest extent of the law.
I've got one more thing, Chief, and I know some of these numbers can't all up, but if you look at the number. I don't know if they're picking you up on If you look at our numbers, and I know some of the shots fired and that kind of thing, those numbers are up. But also, if you compare the number of murders this year and date back to the 1970s, say, when a lot less people lived here, the number of murders are not up. We've had 4 murders so far in Dothan. Compare that to Montgomery, which honestly is a little larger size city. But Dothan overall is still safe when compared with other cities near or at our size.
Absolutely. And I didn't want to bring that up today because I don't think, it's not incumbent upon me to try to make excuses about why there's been an uptick in murders. But the reality is we've had 3 murders in the last 6-7 weeks, I think, and we've had 4 for the year. But that's 4 too many. That's 4 too many. One is too many. And that's our posture, and that's our stance, and we're going to continue to strive to get that number down to 0 or bust.
Chief, I know y'all say you're out of the program where y'all are saturating the streets at certain times, but what other ways are y'all getting involved with the community to help reduce the stigma of that?
That's a very good question. We have a lot of community programs in place. A lot of the programs designed at the Wiregrass Public Safety Center for police and fire are those type of programs that will reduce what I'd say would be teen violence. We have a police sports league that was in full swing. Members of the agency volunteering to go play basketball with kids at Doug 2 or some of the other parks and rec facilities. And those are ways that we bond with the community. We have, that's what we're going to continue to do. Unfortunately, the COVID crisis set things back. And I think, for years down the road, you're going to see studies of not only how this impacted communities, but, research into why the gun violence increased during that time. Thank you.
All right, any other questions? All right, well, yes.
How is the city going to get involved, obviously supporting the police department, but are y'all working on different programs as well?
Well, I think that the chief's answer kind of addresses what the city will continue to do. We continue to support them in all their endeavors. The 3-pronged mission that the Wiregrass Public Safety Center has is, of course, is community engagement, which is a large part of why it was built, and so the intentions is to, continue to do that. I think that the more we invest in ourselves in our city and that we can increase quality of life, I think that helps with those numbers and investing in our parks and having things for our youth to do. I'd love to see a teen center. We have places that our kids go, and boys clubs and boys and girls clubs and youth enrichment centers, and then they get to a certain age and it's kind of not cool to be in a club anymore, and we need a place for the teens to go and some things for them to do. So I think we should continue to look at that, and we're talking about the Department of Leisure Services with what their long-range plans are for all of our parks, so that we'll know kind of directions that we're going in and how to prioritize that, and then how to fund those as well. I think that I'd be remiss to say that education is key to a lot of what we're talking about every day. That should be the question that every citizen asks themselves, whether you have kids that are going to public schools or whether your kids are going to private schools or getting homeschooled, is when you think of Dothan, Alabama, what do you want people to say about public education? What do we want to be known for? And what is going to be our identity and who we are? I think that those kinds of things will help. Building a career tech building, a brand new exciting career tech building out at the Dothan High campus would go a long way. We can offer pieces that would work together with the public safety center as well as Wallace College and Troy to offer career paths for students as we can engage with them in our youth. We got good people. We are a community of good people. Our numbers are good when you look at us compared to everyone else. But that doesn't mean we're going to sit back on our laurels and just not do anything. We want to be a proactive city, and so we will continue to do so. Any other questions?
Just one for you, Mayor.
Yes.
And I understand it's not directly, but it does directly affect City Hall. It looks like we're, losing track of the years, on the last 5 or 6 years, we're about to get our 5th superintendent now. That's a lack of consistency with our local education system, a lack of leadership. As the mayor of Dothan and looking down the road at what we need, is that concerning to you?
Well, absolutely. I think that consistent leadership is important. I will point out to you, though, that I'm still here. Others that have been a part of this community are still here, and they will still be here. We'll be here to make sure that plans that have been put forth into motion will continue to do so. We'll be here to continue to collaborate with all the other parts of this community that will help to guide and decide what's best for all of our citizens when it comes to public education. And so even though that is worrisome, I think that's something that we will overcome. I will say that I appreciate everything Dr. Edwards has done for our community, and it's a lot of very, very hard work, and I think we're in a good place, and I think we've got a lot of good things ahead of us. Yes. All right. Thank you, everyone, for being here.